Why must it always be brother against brother? Why? If I'm addressing anyone, I'll say their name. Come on, y'all. Don't listen to the false narratives. Let people live their lives. It's just a game. Talk about the art, talk about the sport. You talk openly, you talk freely. But because we live in a click-based society, it becomes something bigger. You don't have to defend it. That's just what media is. It's entertainment. I'm not going to let it put me against anybody anymore at any point, because that's not what it's about. We talk freely, openly, and that's our society. Say how you feel. Don't have to put me against anyone else. It's never been about that. It's about the love.
Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are expected to be back and healthy in Brooklyn next season. Nash was a surprise hire, but he has a relationship going back to Golden State with KD. Irving says he's respectful. His relationship is respectful from afar with Nash. Kyrie and KD had more to say on KD's podcast about Nash and LeBron. Listen to this.
Steve is great, and I have a relationship with him that's going to build over time, bro. I don't really see us having a head coach. You know what I mean? Like, KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach. One thing I've always been comfortable with is, you know, I felt like I was the best option on every team I played for, you know, down the stretch. This is the first time in my career where I could look down and be like, that motherfucker can make that shot too. In past situations, if I didn't take the last shot, I felt guilty. Mm-hmm. You know, I was like, yo, I want this game-winning shot, but also you want to trust your teammates. Not that I didn't say I didn't have the trust in my teammates, but I felt like I was the best option. And now, 10 seconds down, go ahead, K. Get us. I don't care, bro. I'm going to crash the offensive glass. Now you get to really see it. Two guys that are unselfish with that end of the game, but going for that game winner, we're trying to make it. And that's all I care about.
Okay, he doesn't mention LeBron in that clip, but he talks about teammates and also the best option, and he also played with LeBron. Dave McMenamin, and joining us now with much more on this story. What was LeBron's reaction today when asked about Kyrie's comments?
Yeah, Kevin, I walked out of the arena with LeBron after his press conference today, and I said, do you happen to catch those Kyrie comments? And he looked at me like, what, do you think I live under a rock? Of course I heard about those comments. I asked him if he wanted to respond to it. He said he didn't want to get into it. But I think it was very telling the way he described his relationship with Anthony Davis on the same day that those Kyrie Irving comments got a lot of attention. He said the key to his relationship with Anthony Davis is there's absolutely zero jealousy between the two of them. And we know that there was a similar age gap between LeBron and Kyrie when they were in Cleveland together. And we know that after 3 seasons of making the finals 3 times and winning a championship in 2016, Kyrie demanded a trade. And, you know, there were reports such as Jason Lloyd of The Athletic, who reported back in the day that Dredd Irving didn't like when Kyrie's father. He didn't like when Kyrie was spending time with LeBron James's friend, Randy Mims, who worked for the Cavs, because in Dredd's quote, it was fraternizing with the enemy. That sounds a lot like jealousy. You don't see that happening between Anthony Davis and LeBron, just 3 wins away from a championship.
Dave, thank you so much with the very latest from inside the NBA bubble. Even on an off day, we can't escape the Kyrie-LeBron conversation. Coming.
Some of the other teams that Kyrie played for and some of his other teammates. One of them was LeBron James, also a decent option. I'm just saying. And our Dave McMenamin did ask him about Kyrie's comment just moments ago. Bron said he didn't want to get into it. Richard, you did play in Cleveland with both of them together. What do you think about Kyrie's comments and LeBron's response?
Well, it's tough. And I respect LeBron James for just not wanting to get into that. You know, right now he's 3 wins away from winning an NBA championship and a possible finals MVP. So he's got bigger things to worry about. But ultimately, I just find that statement to be false, and mainly from you even had a reference point just a few minutes ago about David Blatt, and it was like, hey, this is the play that we're going to run. And then we watched LeBron take teams to the finals with Kyrie, without Kyrie, you know, so we've seen it too many times. And I think there are ways to complement guys like Kevin Durant, your future, pairing, without kind of throwing a shot at another individual. I don't know the context of it, so I need to see it. But, when you see this is a direct shot. And when it's said during the NBA Finals, when that person that it would be directed at is up 1-0, chasing another title, you just wonder if there is more to that. But it is a little disappointing, to say the least, because you can compliment someone without throwing shots at other people. And I felt like this was just a shot.
For me, I agree with you, RJ. I'm on the outside looking in, of course, and you have to see more content and kind of see the entire interview and kind of decide from there. But
he was complimenting Kevin Durant. That was the context. The context is he was complimenting KD leading into that comment. I'm going to give it to you guys and all of our viewers. Leading into that comment, he said, hey, it doesn't matter between me and KD who takes the final shot. I've never had a teammate like that before that I feel that way about. And then he said, I've always felt I was the best option on all of our other teams.
There's a lot of speechlessness here. There's a lot of speechlessness here. It's just,
And there were moments, there were moments like, when like Kyrie hit the biggest jump shot of his career to help them win that championship. I was there to see it, and there was moments where he needed to have the ball late in the game. But there were a lot of moments that season in the playoffs when that other guy who was his teammate needed the ball and had the ball and delivered. So.
Yeah. It was the biggest shot of my life, Kyrie. So I'm with them on that.
Right.
But to say that in reference to Bron, that's
with Steve Nash at the helm. Kyrie says it will, quote, change the way we see head coaches. And a hat tip to Nets blogger Alex Sturm for sharing what Kyrie said next. Quote, I don't really see us having a head coach. KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach on some days. KD added, Jacques Vaughn could be a head coach, could do it one day. It is a collaborative effort. Now, I do want to say they were very complimentary of Steve Nash on the podcast. I don't want that to be taken out of context. But they did say those other things I just read. Richard, how does that sound to you?
Well, again, I'm glad you gave it context because, everybody with the news circling around, it's like you just see this quote. And there is some truth to it. I don't want to give too much stock into it without hearing the full interview. But look, you have coaches on the floor, and I was told by this: great players make coaches great because it makes their job easy for them. And Steve Nash is not going to teach Kyrie how to play or Kevin Durant how to play. He's going to teach them how to play within what they're trying to do with the Nets. And it is Kyrie has controversial statements here and there. But I think I don't want to say what he's trying to say, but because it's a little confusing. But I think what he's trying to say is it's done by committee. We're done by committee as a group. LeBron James is a coach on the floor. Everybody knows that. Jason Kidd is a coach on the floor when he was playing. Chris Paul is a coach on the floor. It's like having another coach. So I believe that that's what he was trying to get at.
But with that being said, you still want to allow your coach to be the coach and use his voice, and you echo, the sentiments of your coach, whatever that may be. You're the extension of what your coach is trying to get across, because if the coach can't get his point across and have the support of his star players, it's always going to be some tension and just uncertainty each and every game. So I think, with that being said, that's where it needs to be an understanding. If you're going to come out here and say that, make sure I guess it all matters in your locker room, in your organization. But I feel like that's the most important thing. Steve Nash being a first-time coach, you want to make sure his welcome to the NBA as a coach is as easy as possible. Right now, boy, it's tough.
Rachel, I think all of us on this panel here at some point or another, including the two players for sure, have heard a star player tell a coach, okay, you want to run that play, that's fine. We're going to run something else. We're going to run what I want to run, right? And I think that that's part of being in the NBA. However, I do like the fact that the word collaborative is used in this conversation because I think it does need to be a collective effort. There's no doubt. But at the end of the day, to Vince's point, There needs to be someone who organizes here and who has the final say and the final decision, and that should be the job of the coach, right? So as long as there is a structure and a synergy from top to bottom, I'm talking about from ownership to the GM, to the players, to the coaches, and they're all aligned and on the same page, then I'm okay with it. But someone should ask Steve Nash how he feels about those comments.
Well, it's
yeah,
funny,
I want to add
RJ,
to this real quick. Think about this.
Yeah.
Both of those guys have won championships, so you trust what they're saying on the court within reason. Within reason, because, you know, as you're going in situations like LeBron was trying to explain to AD, this is going to come up. These are championship situations, and this is how we handle it. So you trust in what they're saying in those situations. But, like, you still need your coach to be the coach.
I mean, look, you guys have played in the NBA for a long time, so you can tell me whether if it's inside the locker room, that's just enough. But there is a public perception issue, and RJ, you brought up LeBron. LeBron very famously, and Vince, you said that sometimes you make a decision to do something different. LeBron very famously on a playoff game against Jimmy Butler's Chicago Bulls said the last play of the game, David Blatt was coaching the Cavaliers. He drew up something else, and LeBron said, I scratched it. He said, I was going to take the last shot of the game. Yeah. In fact, he did. It was the game winner. So we see how he talked about David Blatt in public. We know all what happened to David Blatt. And then take that in contrast to the way LeBron James has talked about Frank Vogel showing up at his introductory press conference, being very, very outwardly supportive of Vogel, saying he is our coach, he is our leader, he is responsible for this. I don't know. You guys can tell me whether that does resonate through the rest of the locker room to some of the other players. But I have seen the difference when just say that one star player, LeBron James, has talked about one coach publicly one way and one coach publicly another way.
Go ahead, RJ.
I scratched it. I scratched it.
I ain't got nothing.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break.